Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I'm bringing you guys week 3 of the UCL. St. Louis Rampardos taking on the Tulsa Talonflames and Coach CuddleOfDeath. Be sure to check out her channel in the description below. We've only played one at a time, and that was last season in the UCL, so this should definitely be a really fun matchup. And of course, I definitely encourage you guys to check out the team builder and pregame press conference also in the description below. That way you know what team we're bringing, why we're bringing it, and so on and so forth. Last but not least, we do have a question of the day today. What is the best thing that you have captured in Pokemon Go so far? I know it's been out for a couple weeks now. A lot of you guys have been playing. I'm still a little bit behind. I'm like level 14 right now, so I'm definitely a little bit behind. Best thing I've gotten so far, I've got a Flareon, and I got a Starmie today, and that was kind of cool. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm kind of not doing too hot, so hopefully you guys have some better luck than I have, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this match. I'm really excited. I think we have the right team to win. It's going to be tough, though. There's a couple things I'm really worried about, specifically that Thundurus and potentially even that Bisharp. So there's a couple Pokemon that are definitely pretty scary, but I think we can navigate around it and make the plays we need to do to win. So I'll be back here momentarily. I'm going to connect with CuddleOfDeath, and we'll see how things go. All right, guys, we are connected here, me and CuddleOfDeath, and we're going to find out what team she's actually bringing. I don't have a dedicated lead in this matchup because it's really going to depend on the 6 that she brings, but let's take a look here and see what the reveal is going to be. Looks like she does bring the Mr. Mime, does not bring the Bisharp though, which is really nice. Brings the Donphan, brings the Goodra. Okay, so I was actually worried about Mr. Mime. And I'm still a little worried about Mr. Mime, but that's okay. And then an Uxie instead of a Florges. So Venusaur's usefulness has definitely declined a little bit here, but that's okay. I think the Donphan is a possible lead here. Let's see, Uxie, Goodra, Donphan, Thundurus, Volcanion, Mr. Mime. Okay, so I had a feeling the Mr. Mime could come. I'm gonna have to be very, very careful around that, but that's okay. And the Uxie, of course, which is replacing the Bisharp, and I think I get everything else. Volcanion, Thundurus, Uxie, Donphan, Goodra, and Mr. Mime. Okay, so I've got the team here. Potential leads, Uxie or Donphan are the most likely leads in my opinion. In terms of my leads, I mean, I really think that Vaporeon's a great lead otherwise. I'm a little bit worried about the potential Thundurus though. As a lead, if she brings something otherwise, it would be really nice to get a Toxic off on the Uxie though, especially since she doesn't have a Heal Beller. I could really start to wear that thing down, and if she get Rocks up, I could always spin them away. So let's actually do that. I'm gonna lead with Vaporeon here, and because I think the Uxie or the Donphan are pretty likely leads. If she leads Thundurus, I'll have to switch out. That'll put me in a little bit of a bad spot if she leads Thundurus, but I can go into Excadrill, try to set up Rocks. I definitely want to get my Rocks up though, and I would love to Toxic the Uxie if possible. So I know Uxie can carry coverage for Vaporeon, but it's simply not a very big offensive threat, so usually it's okay to do that. I don't want to lead Ditto right off the bat because Ditto versus Donphan is not the greatest matchup, so we'll see what she's going to lead here. But hopefully it's not hopefully it's not the Thundurus. That would be the only thing that I really don't want to see here. Here comes Phantom, which is I'm assuming Donphan. So that's actually perfect. I get to just click Scald here, and if she wants to switch into Volcanion, that's fine. I know I could take on the Volcanion. So let me actually just look. I'm curious here if I were to Toxic first and then Scald, if that makes any difference here, because Toxic might be the better play. She may try to save this thing. And a Scald does not look like it's going to knock it out after a Toxic, so I actually do think Scald is my play here. Although I could Toxic and then Scald. I just am worried about the Volcanion coming in, but I'm going to make the straightforward play here and just go for a Scald. I do connect. I am faster too, so this is definitely a defensive Donphan. And you can see that's going to bring it all the way down, and we do not score a burn, and they are going to go for a Toxic themselves. So this is actually fine with me, because I may be able to keep... I'm able to keep this thing, and he's got leftovers, it looks like, so that's good. I'm able to keep this thing possible from setting up Stealth Rocks against me, which could be very, very useful. So I think what I'm going to do here is I can easily fire off another Scald, or I just go for a Toxic predicting the switch. So I'm just going to go for that Toxic predicting a switch out here. I really don't anticipate the Donphan her letting her Donphan just die right now. I really don't see that being the case. If she goes into the Volcanion, I'll get a nice poison off on it, which would be very useful. But the thing I'm like kind of worried about is that Mr. Mime a little bit. Like a Scarf Mr. Mime could be pretty scary. She's gonna make the switch here, most likely in a Volcanion, predicting the Scald. That is a very Japanese name, and that is indeed the Volcanion. And it's got the Air Balloon, and I am gonna connect the Toxic. So I find out that it's got Air Balloon, which is amazing intel for me. And it is poison now, and the Donphan is at like 30% too. So that's really good news for me. So I know it's not going to have Power Herb Solar Beam, and I know it's not Specs, so I have a pretty easy time here just staying in on this thing. I really don't think it can do too much to me. I mean, the most it's going to do is like a Hidden Power Grass, which doesn't really do too much to me, especially now that I know kind of what his set is. So I'm actually just going to reveal the Heal Bell here, get rid of this this Poison, and if she switches, that's fine. I really like Vaporeon against a lot of her team here. Even if Thundurus comes in, that's fine. I'll get rid of the Toxic. I really don't know. I mean, she could just hard switch into Thundurus here. That would actually probably be the best play. Because realistically, Volcanion cannot touch Vaporeon in most instances. And when Thundurus comes in, I'm going to have to go into Excadrill, which could be problematic. But Excadrill's importance isn't as big of a deal, specifically because of the no Florges, so it's not going to be as big of a deal. But it definitely will help against things like Mr. Mime, stuff like that. Let me actually, while we're waiting for the move here, let me actually just take a look and see kind of Mr. Mime's moveset really quickly. I know it gets a number of different things like Shockwave and stuff with Technician. Also gets Soundproof, so that's kind of interesting to note. Does it get Focus Blast? That's what I want to know. Does it get a Fighting type move? Gets Brick Break. Does get Focus Miss. Power Punch, not a big deal. A lot of coverage options. Gonna switch, so I'll get my Heal Bell off. I'm expecting the Thundurus. Pukesy is the Uxie, actually, so that's gonna come in here. That's fine. I'll get my Heal Bell off, and actually, she may have a Heal Bell on this thing, too. It's actually likely that that's the case. To me, I think my play here is I could do a couple of different things. I can actually go into my Excadrill. I could try to poison this thing. Excadrill's a good play, though, because I can get my Stealth Rocks up, and I can put some pressure on here. And Uxie usually can't do too much to Excadrill. I'm going to get my Rocks up. I really feel like getting those Rocks up is going to be huge, especially with the Donphan weakened so much, and the Volcanion being toxic. If she does go for a Heal Bell here, that's fine. Could also just go for Stealth Rocks of her own, but I'm expecting Donphan to have been that. We have the Mold Breaker here, and there is a Light Screen. So it's a dual screen Uxie, it looks like. So we're going to have to count turns here. So let me make a Light Screen and a Reflect. So Light Screen, we've got 1 turn. So this is just going to be me getting up my Stealth Rocks here. I'm just going to get up those rocks. And it's going to be tough for me to break down these screens, but I have Vaporeon with Toxic and stuff like that. And if this thing doesn't have Heal Bell, then I can easily switch Vaporeon in here and get some Toxic damage. But getting these rocks up is going to be huge to basically keep that Thundurus from really getting a number of different switch-ins, especially if it's Life Orb. Not to mention we'll weaken Volcanion. So I am going to get my rocks up. I am fast on Uxie, so we know it's a defensive set. Pretty much fully defensive. And here comes the Reflect. So we're expecting 8 turns. So that's 1 turn of Reflect, 2 turns of Light Screen. So I'm expecting 8 turns here. And I don't think it's going to have any other any offensive moves here. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to go for an Iron Head. I want to see a little bit more about what this set is going to do. And I want to see if she has a switch here. Whether it be to Donphan, whether it be to something else. I'm actually just going to go for the Iron Head in case that Volcanion does decide to come in here. This might be the end of this Uxie. We have a potential to flinch, maybe stall some more turns. If that Thundurus does come in, I can hit that pretty hard. But the important part is potentially breaking the air balloon on the Volcanion. Because I could Mold Breaker EQ this thing, but I'll go for the Iron Head here to show her that I have it. I'm going to play relatively passive around this Uxie for now because I want to stall those turns out. I'm not going to be able to do much to her team until I do that anyway. Especially with that Thundurus, which is going to be the biggest issue. I have plenty of responses to Volcanion. The Donphan is incredibly weak, which is very, very nice. It's about 25% when it comes back in. So Iron Head plus Earthquake, even with the Reflect up, will knock out the Donphan if it comes back in. It's going to stay in here, so I'll connect an Iron Head here. I'm assuming there's not going to be any sort of item. There's the Stealth Rocks, actually, so we see rocks on this thing, which is very nice. We see the rocks, and we see Reflect. And this is just going to be, that's going to be 3 turns on Light Screen, 2 turns on Reflect. I can just Rapid Spin. It's not really a big deal. I actually just saw, I think, Leftovers. I'm not positive, but I think I saw Leftovers. So I'm actually going to go for the Rapid Spin here. And if she switches, that's fine. I'll get my Rapid Spin off. I think I saw Leftovers. I kind of turned away from the screen, so it's kind of a bummer. But I'll find out in a few turns whether that Light Screen is going to stay around or not. But that's very interesting that the Donphan didn't have Stealth Rocks. So it leads me to believe the Donphan had, we saw Toxic, probably Earthquake, maybe Ice Shard for Salamence, and Toxic. Toxic, Earthquake, Rapid Spin, and Ice Shard. I think that might be the set for the Donphan. But we see Stealth Rocks in the Uxie, and we've got a lot of intel on this which is very nice. And the spin actually works out fine because I could rapid spin and break the air balloon on the Volcanion as well. So that could be very useful. So far not too bad. I mean, getting up those rocks is very nice. I mean, obviously I'm a little worried about the Donphan coming in because with a reflect up, it's gonna be tough for me to take that thing down. It could actually come in here and live a hit. With the reflect up, I might have to be pretty careful with that. But I know he's not offensive. Yeah, I think he actually could come in and take a hit. He's gonna switch, so I'll get my rapid spin off. Hopefully not into Thunderous. Here comes Nimbus. That is the Thunderous. So this is this thing is the scariest thing on the team. I mean, this is really the issue here. So unfortunately, I have to kind of make a tough play here. I think what I'm gonna do is I need to scout out this set. So I'm gonna make the switch in a Ditto here. And if she predicts that and goes for a move that's gonna knock me out, you know, whatever, it is what it is. I'm gonna 4 screens and 2 screens on that. I have to go into Ditto here. I can't risk, I cannot risk Venusaur at this point in time. There's a chance of a Focus Blast here. There's a chance of hidden, it could be Psychic, it could be a number of different things. She may be very well prepared for my Venusaur, but I wanna find out this set as soon as possible. So we're gonna get Mystic in here, which should be able to live any hit from this thing. And she's gonna go for the Nasty Plot. But that's not that worry. That's not some worrisome for me because I'm actually not too worried about this thing now that I know it's Nasty Plot because and the light screen does wear off. So I know that the Uxie is leftovers. Let me make a note here. And that's 3 turns on Reflect. That was 5 turns on light screen. I think actually I'm 1 off, but that's okay. So Nasty Plot, Thunderbolt, Focus Blast, and Fireball. So Nasty Plot, Thunderbolt, Psychic, and Focus Blast. Okay. So I think actually at this range, I can just click Thunderbolt and knock this thing out. I do. Let me just take a look here at Ditto. So Thundurus versus Thundurus. I'm pretty sure I get to just click Thunderbolt here and it will knock it out. Thunderbolt does knock it out at this range. Now, obviously there's a likelihood that she goes into Donphan here. There's a very big likelihood she goes into Donphan here. But I don't think it's worth the risk this early in the game for me to make a play here and predict the Donphan and go for a Psychic. I think that is just way too risky. I think that's just way too risky. I'm gonna click Thunderbolt. I'm gonna play it safe here. It's way too early in the game. This should actually knock this thing out unless it's got some sort of bulk investment. And it does live, very surprisingly. This thing does actually live the hit and it's gonna connect. So she definitely has some bulk investment. So Thundurus kills Ditto with Thunderbolt, and that is very, very scary. What I have to do now is I have to go into Pinknocchio. Now, Pinknocchio is, of course, our Choice Scarf Heracross, which was definitely brought to this match specifically because I was worried about Nimbus, and I'm pretty sure she's going to just let this thing go down at this point. So I get a free knockoff here. On pretty much anything that wants to come in. I could also close combat, predicting a switch here. I don't want to risk missing on any attacks, so I do think knockoff is the play. I don't think she's going to switch, so I am going to just go for the knockoff here. And I know the set, I know I outspeed, so I am Choice Scarf. And my logic here is the knockoff will get rid of the item on the Donphan if it comes in. I'll get rid of the air balloon. I can get rid of the leftovers on the Uxie. I can, you know, knock off whatever item that Mr. Mime has, which could be problematic. I mean, losing Ditto there was not good. Definitely not good. But now that I know the Volcanion's not Specs, and it's poisoned, and I basically eliminated this Thundurus. I would say that was worth it. I'm surprised it lived though. My calc says, the calc says here that it does 76 to 90% if it's I butchered that calc, but that's okay. I calced it with a life orb. It's my own fault. Gonna stay in here though, so Pinocchio is gonna pick up this kill, so that's fine. That was my own fault, but I made the play I had to make. I wasn't gonna switch out there. That was the play I had to make. I had a Charty Berry, so Heracross kills Thundurus with knockoff, and that's gonna get rid of that thing for us, so we do not have to worry about Thundurus anymore, which is very, very nice. And now Mr. Mime can't come in, because I threaten it. Threaten it pretty good. Man, I can't believe that. So that was intense. What does Charty Berry even do? I'm gonna look. Charty Berry. I don't even know what that berry does. It will lessen the damage taken from a super effective hit, it looks like. Let's see here. Oh, a rock type move. Okay, cool. So that's actually a really neat idea. So here comes Dr. Hoodra, which is the Goodra, of course. Now, I think what I'm gonna do here is I could stay in and just knock off, but there could be a Fire Blast coming my way. There very well could be a Fire Blast coming my way. let's assume he's like specs. Does he go for Thunderbolt here? Is that too risky? I can't risk a Fire Blast and go into... This is a bit risky here because I cannot risk taking a Fire Blast from this thing and switching into Venusaur right now because I haven't Mega Evolved yet. And I don't want to go for a knockoff here. So what is my switch? I mean, Vaporeon is my switch. That's definitely my best switch. Even though it could have Thunderbolt, I could Toxic this thing. I think I have to go into Vaporeon here. It's too early for me to lose my Heracross, and Heracross actually hits things pretty hard at this point. Mega Horn does a good amount of damage to a lot of our teams, so I'm going to make the switch here. Here comes the Acid Armor. So it's an Acid Armor Goodra, which actually makes him a little less scary, in my opinion, now that I think he's more of a defensive variant. So I'm going to just go for a Toxic. Toxic is going to affect everything on our team at this point. And unless she's got Substitute on this thing, which would be absolutely insane, I really don't have too much to worry about. And I have Heal Bell on my own Vaporeon, so I could heal it off. So I should be able to connect a Toxic here. And basically put this thing on a timer. Here comes the T-Bolt. And you can see just how little that is actually going to do. Oxygen is incredibly bulky, and we are going to connect with this Toxic here. So you see Acid Armor and Thunderbolt. So the 2 moves there for Dr. Hoodra. I love the name. I love the name CuddleOfDeath. Okay, so now my play 1,000,000% is to go for a Wish here. I need to basically give myself an opportunity to beat this Goodra one-on-one, even though it's got that Acid Armor up. And I know that if I get a Wish off here, I could take 2 Thunderbolts at this range. What I can also do actually is if I want to, I'm actually going to go into Asparagus here. I don't see any other play on her part except for a Thunderbolt here or a Switch. Realizing that she can't be Venusaur, I really don't think she's gonna like click Draco or Fire Blast or anything, so I should be able to get my Mega Evolution off here. There was no reason for me to switch out Vaporeon there. Here comes the Thunderbolt again, so no problems there. Asparagus is gonna eat this up. You can see does very, very little damage, and even though it's got leftovers, this thing is on a timer now because of us basically getting that, you know, that Toxic off. So now, now I know he's not leftovers, so I could actually just Mega Evolve here. I'm just gonna click Sludge Bomb. I don't really think there's much this thing can do to me at this point. And a Sludge Bomb is going to hit everything on our team, including the Uxie, relatively effectively. So even though she's got these screens, I feel relatively good here. I could just fire off this Sludge Bomb. If Volcanion comes in, it's going to take Rocks damage. It's going to take Toxic damage. It's going to take a Sludge Bomb. If Donphan comes in, I know I outspeed it now. So that goes down. If Uxie comes in, it's going to take Stealth Rocks damage and a Sludge Bomb. So a couple things there, and we're actually in a very good place here, where if I can get my Salamence in against the Uxie, I can set up a Swords Dance, or a Dragon Dance with Salamence, because I know Uxie's set now. Uxie is Light Screen, Reflect, Stealth Rocks, and most likely Psychic. So that means Salamence sits in front of that Uxie and sets up all day on it. I can go +2 and just click Dragon Claw. Even with a Reflect up, I'm going to destroy things because Mr. Mime is not going to take a hit. It's not going to take an Earthquake. Volcanion after Stealth Rocks damage is not going to want to take a Dragon Claw. So I'm going to have to keep those screens off the field, but if I could do that, we're be in pretty good shape here. So I definitely expect her to switch. I really don't anticipate her to stay in here because I don't think this Goodra is going to touch me. Especially considering how little it did. It's actually going to stay in here, so maybe there's a thing I'm not thinking of, but I do want to look and just see kind of, I mean, I know it's Acid Armor. He could be Rest. Don't really anticipate that, though, but I'm going to get my Sludge Bomb off here. And it's going to connect. It's not going to do a whole lot, and here comes the Draco. So Draco Meteor is going to connect. So I'm not thinking this thing is going to have Rest on it. And I'm a special variant of Venusaur, so you're going to see that does overhave. It's a crit, actually, so a very, very big critical hit there. But I have Synthesis, so I could just heal off the damage, so I'm really not too concerned at this point. I could easily just heal it off and kind of be back at a good spot. And you can see that Goodra is almost at about 50% now and poisoned. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click Synthesis here. I really have no reason not to. I know I'm faster. I know I can live any hit. She's -2. This Goodra staying in here is relatively unlikely. I don't want to make an over prediction here and you know, try to Sludge Bomb or something, predicting something to come in. Donphan comes in, I get to Giga Drain. If Uxie comes in, I can actually just switch into the Salamence and really try to put some pressure on there. Or I can go into Vaporeon again and go more of a passive route. But I think that Salamence might be, I think it might be time to unleash Salamence here. Here comes the Pukesy, which is of course the Uxie. And this is an interesting situation. I think I'm gonna hold off against the using of the Salamence at this point in time. But what I do want to do is I want to get this thing toxic. I want to get this thing toxic, or I want to get rid of his item. You know what I'm gonna do? Do I just go into Heracross here and just click Mega Horn? What's gonna take a Mega Horn, really? I mean, I could put some pressure on here. I don't think it's gonna kill though. I'm gonna make the safe play. I'm gonna go into Vaporeon. I'm not really scared of this Uxie. I think it's just gonna set up screens, and if I can get a Toxic off on this thing, that would be very useful. Because I know I can take hits from the Goodra. So here's the Reflect. So we got Reflect, and that's gonna be 1 turn. So it's a good thing I didn't go into Mence or Heracross. I had a feeling the Reflect would be coming up. Now, will she let me Toxic her Uxie? That is gonna be the big question here. Will she let me Toxic this thing? I highly doubt it, but I'm gonna go for Toxic nevertheless, because Goodra's not the greatest switching against this. I can easily go back into Venusaur, and I can just burn these Reflect turns and weaken that Goodra, and eventually we're gonna win this battle. So I'm just gonna go over the Toxic here, and if I can connect it on the Uxie, that would be huge, 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 because I really need to wear this thing down. But for her to get a Light Screen up, she's gonna have to go for it here. And I'm assuming this thing's last move is gonna be Psychic, which would hit the Venusaur, of course. But it wouldn't even do that much. It's not gonna be an invested Psychic. It's gonna just be, you know, just a default Psychic. I really don't even think it's gonna do much. It might even be Psyshock, but if I went Mega Venusaur against Uxie, just like a standard defensive variant, he's doing like 36. He's actually gonna stay and go for the Light Screen. Please, please, please. Please, 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 I'm begging you, hit this Toxic. And I connect. Thank you so much, Vaporeon. You are an absolute legend, and thank you for being awesome as always, Vaporeon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so we got 2 turns of Reflect, 1 turn on Light Screen here. Now, Volcanion could come in. I really don't anticipate that. I think what I'm gonna do here, though, is I can go into my Excadrill at this point in time, which is gonna basically prevent her from getting up Stealth Rocks here. There's really no reason for me not to make that play, since I think its last move is gonna be Toxic. So let me go into my Excadrill. And we're gonna try to burn these turns of Reflect. We got, you know, 2 turns past now, 1 turn on Light Screen. And I am gonna try to keep track of those turns. And again, I don't know the last move yet. I haven't seen it, but I am fully expecting it to be Psychic at this point, which Excadrill does not care about. So we should be okay there. But you can see we poisoned 3 members of our team. The Uxie, the Goodra, and the Volcanion are all poisoned, which is wonderful. And I don't think this Uxie has Heal Bell, because it hasn't shown an offensive move, so it'd be very weird to run Heal Bell, Stealth Rocks, dual screens on Uxie without the Light Clay. I'm really surprised that there's no Light Clay, but it's all good. So Excadrill matches up relatively well here against Mr. Mime. I mean, if Donphan's not gonna come in here, the Goodra might come in. She might just stay in and go for Stealth Rocks, which is why I'm going in Excadrill, just so I can make sure I keep those rocks off the field. I don't want the Stealth Rocks wearing down my team, if I can avoid it. So we'll just go into Exca, and if you know, Volcanion comes in, then I have an easy switch into Venusaur. Now that I kind of know what's going on. Or actually, I just go into Vaporeon, really. That thing's Toxic, and it's gonna take Stealth Rocks, and it doesn't have leftovers, so that Volcanion is gonna get worn down. And I think Mr. Mime does get Heal Bell, but I 100% don't anticipate it to be carrying it, so. Is she just gonna go for Rocks here? That's kind of what I'm thinking. She's gonna switch out, so we're gonna get Excadrill versus something. And it's gonna be Phantom, which is the Donphan. Okay. You see that Stealth Rocks damage. Now, this is tough, because very surprised about that, because I almost went for Scald there, but that's gonna be 3 turns on Reflect, 2 turns on Light Screen. Okay, so this thing doesn't have Stealth Rocks, but can I knock it out at this range with Excadrill? If the Reflect is up, let's see here. It looks like it does not knock him out, and his Earthquake does knock me out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go into Asparagus here. I don't wanna make any bad plays. I don't wanna make any risky plays. Actually, Oxygen is a pretty good play here too. I just go right back into my Oxygen, and then I could just poison this thing if I'm worried about the Volcanion coming in. Donphan does like 30% to me. I can go into Mega Venusaur. How much does Donphan do to Mega Venusaur? Probably not much, assuming he's a defensive variant. Does about 30% to me. He could also spin here. Could be rapid spinning. I can put some pressure on with Asparagus though. because I could Giga Drain and definitely knock this thing out. And there's, I mean, the potential for Sludge Bomb almost knocks it out. I mean, Vaporeon comes in and water can just scald here too. I'll have opportunities to spin if I need to. I don't want her to spin though. I'm gonna go into, you know what else I could do? I can go into Heracross. How much time do I have? 30 seconds here. I can go into Heracross against Donphan and just see how much I do, because I know I could take a hit from him. And I could definitely fire off a knockoff. I'm gonna make the play into Vaporeon again. It stinks that I was just in Vaporeon, but I'm gonna go back to Vaporeon here. With the leftovers recovery, I feel like it's the safest bet to take some Earthquakes here from a Donphan. And there's the Earthquake, so not too surprising there. Couldn't go into Salamence because of the potential for there's the crit again, so that's not good for me. So we get another crit there. Now I do outspeed this thing and I can easily Scald and knock it out. Do I think she's gonna predict the Scald here and go into Volcanion though? I could just Wish as well. Or I could set up a Toxic again. Toxic isn't a bad play. Scald knocks this thing out. If she switches into Volcanion predicting the Scald, that could be problematic. Do I just click Scald? This is a 50-50. I mean, I don't think she's going to the Volcanion, but she very well could, in which case my play is to switch and predict a double here, but that's not really gonna happen. Let me go for... Let me think here. It's gonna be tough, man, because that Volcanion can come in here and do some damage. That crit really mattered there. Definitely kind of annoying. You know what I'm gonna do? Let's make a switch into Pinocchio here, because that was 4 turns of Reflect, so I think Reflect is almost done here. Pinocchio can come in and can definitely put some work in. Fire off a knockoff, get rid of this thing's item, put some pressure on if she wants to stay in. She goes into Volcanion, I can click Close Combat. Do I want to Scald or do I want to Wish? Let's go for the Scald. If she switches to Volcanion, she switches to Volcanion. It's gonna stay in here, so I'm glad I made the very obvious play. I had a feeling she was gonna predict me to switch out there. So Vaporeon kills Donphan with Scald. That was a tough play. I really had a tough time with that one. I struggled with that decision because, and there's the Reflect. So Reflect is gone. Light Screen should have, I think, one more turn. That was a very tough call because earlier in the game, I predicted her to switch out the Donphan. I went for Toxic on the switch. This time, I had a feeling she was going to predict me to switch the Donphan out again, and that's why I ultimately went with Scald. I could have went into Heracross, but I was worried about the Reflect turns, and I was worried about taking like a Play Rough. I doubt it had it, but I was worried about that. I didn't want to go for Toxic because I was afraid that if I Toxic and she went into Volcanion, that would be bad, because then I kind of wasted a turn. I could have went for the Wish, but ultimately, like I said, it was a 50-50. That was a tough decision, but the Scald, to me, I felt like if the Volcanion came back in, it was going to take Stealth Rock's damage to basically negate the Scald recovery that it would have. It is still burned, and I knew I could go into Venusaur and Synthesis off damage if I needed to, so that was the ultimate reason why. I mean, I had a few seconds left, but that was the ultimate reason why I went with Scald there, and it worked out in this situation. I mean, it easily could have not worked out, but it did work out in this situation. So Vaporeon picking up a kill and has Toxic 3 other Pokemon so far, which is phenomenal. I'm very excited about Vaporeon at this point in the match. And now that Donphan's gone, I have no concerns over hazards anymore. I have won the hazard war, which is very nice. Actually, she does have Stealth Rocks on Uxie, but at this point, I'm less concerned about that. Here comes Mr. Meme, which is Mr. Mime, of course. Now, this is an opportunity for me to go to my Excadrill. I understand that Focus Blast is a likely move and something I have to be very scared of, but I cannot make I cannot allow my oxygen to go down at this point in time. It's still too valuable, as it does beat the Uxie, it beats the Goodra, things like that. So I'm gonna make the play in Excadrill here, and expecting a Shockwave or a Charge Beam or something like that. But if she does go for something else, that's fine. Here comes the Psychic, so I am gonna be able to live that no problem. And I do get the intel that this thing does have Psychic on it. I want to see if there's a Life Orb. There is a Life Orb, so that's good to know. Now, does this thing have Focus Blast is the question. At least I know it's not Scarf now. And there goes the Light Screen, which is awesome. So Light Screen and that are gone. Now, this is an opportunity where I have to be a little bit cautious because I know it's a Life Orb set. If she has the Focus Blast, she's gonna go for it now. And it will knock me out. But Heracross comes in and then clicks knockoff, and something is just gonna get destroyed at that point. So I'm not too scared. I don't believe this thing is living a knockoff from a Heracross. Mr. Mime is so frail. It's just so frail. Actually, oh no, I have the reflect still up. Take the reflect off. Get rid of that. Yeah, after another Life Orb hit, it should go down. It's a little close though, but I could switch into Asparagus here, predicting the Focus Blast. I could also just let my drill go down, which I think is probably my best play, just to let my Excadrill go down at this point. As much as that pains me to do, I think that is the right play. So I'm gonna go for the Iron Head here. Here comes the Focus Blast, and it does connect, of course. I could have predicted that, but that's okay. Mr. Mime kills Excadrill with Focus Blast. So that's fine. I had a feeling it was gonna have Focus Blast. It was gonna come down to whether or not it hit it, so I knew that was gonna happen. I just go into Pinocchio here, I think. And the thing is pretty low in health. Adamant Choice Scarf knockoff does 73 to 86%. It does look like it will knock it out at this range. Mega Horn definitely knocks it out, but I don't know if that's a chance I can risk. So that is my best play. I have to do this. So this is my play. Yeah, I have to do this play, and I have to go for knockoff. She knows I'm scarfed, but this is the right play here. This is my answer to this this Mr. Mime. I don't want to risk a Mega Horn miss, so I do have to go for knockoff here, unfortunately. I just cannot risk a Mega Horn miss at this point. And knockoff should do enough. 73%, so. I'm gonna switch, so that's fine. Not surprised. And here comes Dr. Hydra, which is gonna get rid of its leftovers here, which is really nice, actually. See that Stealth Rock's damage, the Toxic damage, and it's gonna lose its leftovers. So this actually might be enough to just straight up knock him out. Yes, it is. He's gonna get the Gooey, but I'm Choice Scarf, so I have nothing to worry about here. I could just keep clicking, I can click knockoff again and just make sure I get rid of him. Even with the Gooey, it's not a big deal. Now I am gonna be pressured to switch out now on the next turn. So now that I think about that, maybe it's in my best interest to switch. Draco Meteor is most likely coming my way. I don't really have a good switch into this thing, so I'm just gonna go for the knockoff here. That Mr. Mime is very scary, I'm not gonna lie. Mr. Mime comes back in. I know I can revenge kill it with Pinocchio, but Mr. Mime is very scary at this point in time. And I knew it would be. I knew it would be. I'm just gonna run out of things to send in front of it to sack it off, and the thing that stinks is if it's got Icy Wind, which it very well could have Icy Wind, I'm gonna be in some trouble there. But Venusaur at the range it's at can live a Life Orb, max special attack hit from this thing. Let me just calc Modest. Psychic does 71 to 83%, so I know I could live a Modest Psychic from a Mr. Mime with my Calm Nature Venusaur. So I would love it if she switched here. I really don't see why she would, but yeah, I don't see why she would, and I don't think she's got speed investment, so I just clicked knockoff here. I don't think this thing is speed invested, so I've got a little bit of speed. I'm not max speed though. How much speed do I? Actually, no, I do have pretty much max speed. I have 236, so I'm actually really fast, and I'm actually naturally faster. So there's no way this thing outspeeds me. Never mind, we're good. But I get another knockoff here on something. And I'm so glad that last minute I changed this team prep. I was originally not bringing Scarf Cross. I was gonna bring like a different set, Swords Dance variant, kind of like last week. I changed my mind. Went with Scarf Heracross because I was so worried about that Thundurus beating me. So, but it's all good. And it had the Charty Berry for the Stone Edge, man. That's so crazy. Gonna switch out. I don't know why. I don't know why, but that's fine. I'm gonna get a knockoff on the Volcanion, and it's gonna take Stealth Rock's damage. It's gonna lose its Air Balloon. It is not gonna like this at all. This is fine. This is fine by me. It's also gonna take Toxic damage. I mean, that was actually totally fine because I was worried about her getting a free switch into to potentially that Mr. Mime. So I'm gonna go into Oxygen now. No sense in me losing my Pinocchio. I don't even need to think about it. I'm not going into Venusaur. I need to preserve Venusaur's health at max just in case I have an issue against that, you know, something else here. I am a little worried about that Uxie coming in. I am a little worried about that Uxie setting up some screens and stuff. But Mr. Mime is getting worn down pretty heavily here to the point where, you know, even with a Reflect Up, Mega Horn is going to knock it out. So I'm gonna go into Vaporeon, see what she's gonna do, and this Volcanion's gonna do, and then probably see if we can make a play. If that Uxie comes in though, I'm just going into Salamence, and I'm just gonna click Dragon Dance on that Uxie like 3 times, and then we just sweep at that point. because Goodra goes down to Stealth Rock's damage, which was set by Excadrill, so Excadrill's going to get that Stealth Rock kill. She has no way to get rid of the hazards. So if Uxie comes in, man, Salamence just clicks Dragon Dance and wins. At this point, even with a Reflect Up, because that Mr. Mime is not going to take an Earthquake from a +1, even with the Reflect Up. It's just not going to do it. I'll calculate right now, just to kind of start getting ahead of the game here, because I think that might be a scenario that we see. I do have the Iron Tail too, but I don't want to risk it, you know. Mr. Mime, what's the Life Orb variant? With a Reflect Up at +1, Earthquake does up to 70%. So with that being said, after Stealth Rock's damage, it's gonna be close. But if I get 2 Dragon Dances up, then we definitely just win at that point. And now I don't have to worry about clicking Earthquake. So if that Uxie comes in, that's what our play is. Because I could just set up all over it. So here comes Oxygen. There's the Focus Blast coming off, does connect. I should be able to live this though. I am very bulky, and this isn't like a Life Orb variant. That's a lot of damage actually. This may be the end of Oxygen here. Do I just let it go down? I think I am gonna just have to let it go down. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go for a Wish on the off chance that I can live. I'm gonna go for a Wish here. I don't really want to play around with this thing. It's not worth it at this point in time. Because what I need to do is Heracross kind of just finish this things up here. If I get the right opportunity. Now at this point, Mega Horn kills everything left, and Volcanion dies on entry. So I don't think I'm living another Focus Blast, but I'm gonna stay in here and see what happens. I just, like, at this point, Vaporeon is just so low. I mean, I could set up maybe on the Uxie again, but at this point, I'm thinking about more of the late game here at this point. So, and actually, unless this Volcanion has HP Ice, Salamence can set up on this too, but that's a little risky. I think my play is actually just to go into Heracross at this point and just click Knockoff. Actually, that's definitely my play, because even Uxie with a Psychic I don't think kills, and I could knock off twice, and I think that might be enough. Heracross actually may just be able to sweep at this point. Let me see how much Heracross takes from an Uxie. I don't want to risk it too much. There's the Earth Power. That's less than Focus Blast. I'm gonna live this. I think that was a misplay. No, it's a crit, of course! Of course! I feel like I've been crit so many times. Oh my goodness. Kills Vaporeon with Earth Power. And I pretty much know this thing's set now. I've been crit so many times this game, I feel like, what the heck? Alright, it's okay. Heracross versus Uxie, I can definitely live a Psychic and a Psyshock. Let me just check Psychic too. I can definitely live, and it's not gonna want to take a knockoff. I'm just gonna go into Pinocchio here. Shot speeds everything on our team, and I could definitely pick up some kills here. I get to just click knockoff. I wish I had Guts, or I wish I had Moxie at this point, but I'm gonna go with the knockoff instead of a different move, instead of Mega Horn. I just don't want to risk any misses. It's just not worth it. I mean, I could close combat, but obviously Uxie resists that, so if I can get rid of Uxie's item, that could be really good. But if Uxie comes in, man, I'm just going into Salamence. We're clicking Dragon Dance, and I'm pretty sure we could just sweep at this point. Even with a Reflect Up, I can get 2 DDs off. I'll DD on the Uxie on the first turn. If it switches, I just Earthquake the Mr. Mime. If it lives, at that point, Heracross comes in. I mean, we're in a pretty good spot here. I can't believe that, though. I was crit 3 times. Vaporeon was crit twice, and something else, but it's okay. Like, oh, the Draco Meteor on the Venusaur. It's okay, though. Get him out of the season. Get him out now. Get him out and get the crits out of the way now. So that way, I don't have to worry about them. I know they're part of the game, guys. I'm laughing about them. I just thought it was funny. Vaporeon would have lived there, gotten off a Wish. It's not a big deal, though. I wouldn't have... I don't know what I would have done. I don't Protect anyway, so I mean, maybe I would have went into Venusaur to take a hit, but I don't want Venusaur to get burned either, because again, I need Venusaur at full to take on the Mr. Mime, just in case I need to click a Sludge Bomb later on. Goodra dies to entry hazards, Volcanion's dead, Mr. Mime's almost at 50%, Uxie is toxic and weakened, and I mean, we're definitely down here to the last little bit, and Heracross is in a great position. Now, what she could do here, and actually what I think is her best play, is going into Goodra. Actually, it's not gonna matter. I was gonna say get the Gooey off with Goodra, but it's gonna die to rocks, so it's gonna switch. Most likely into Goodra. No, into Uxie. I don't understand that, but that's okay. That's okay, not a big deal. I'll get the knockoff off, which is gonna get rid of its item, and it's gonna do over half to it. Gets rid of its lefties, and it's very close here as to whether I knock him out with a knockoff. I actually think the play is just to go for a knockoff here, because if I knock it out, I win at this range. If I knock it out, I win, and it was really close. I think I have to just go for it. Knockoff, no reflect, does about 30 to 37. Toxic damage, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. I have a feeling she's gonna live it, but if I can keep the reflect from being put up, that's gonna be really useful. I know I could live one psychic or Psyshock. Just gonna go for it. We'll connect the knockoff here. It's gonna go down to toxic anyway. And we knock it out. Sweet. Alright, so that was actually a really nervous moment there. But Heracross kills Uxie with knockoff. And I believe Heracross just wins at this point. I think I just click knockoff a couple of times and we win. I'm pretty sure. Especially now, because that Mr. Mime's going to take Stealth Rock's damage. Goodra dies an entry, Volcanion dies an entry, and Mr. Mime is the last thing. And I believe with the amount of health that Mr. Mime is going to be at after Stealth Rocks, it is definitely going to go down. If not to my attack, to Life Orb damage. So here comes Mr. Mime. We know it's a Life Orb variant, and we know it's sitting at about 60%. Knockoff does 73 to 86%. I should have no concerns over clicking knockoff, so I am going to indeed just click knockoff again. If it doesn't knock it out and it lives on just a sliver of health, then it will likely go down to its Life Orb recoil, at which point Salamence comes in and can actually kill, well actually Volcanion and Goodra just died to Stealth Rocks at this point anyway. So unfortunately Heracross isn't going to get all the kills. Heracross could potentially get 4, maybe even 5 kills here, but I think those kills actually technically go to Excadrill because of the Stealth Rocks, if I'm not mistaken. So not a big deal, but Heracross does take out the Uxie, which is very nice. And we're down to the final 3 here on her team. I gotta say, I'm very impressed about the Mr. Mime. I saw it in the team building after I built my team. I was like, you know what? This team gets bodied by Mr. Mime. I have to be really worried about that, which is another reason why I went with the Scarf Heracross at the end here. This should knock this thing out. I mean, Mr. Mime's like a paper bag, and it does, and that's gonna be the game. The other 2 Pokemon die on entry, so Heracross kills Mr. Mime with knockoff, and the other 2 Pokemon just die to entry hazard. So Volcanion dies to Stealth Rock. Again, that's going to go to Excadrill for the kill, and the last Pokemon is Goodra, dies to Stealth Rock as well. So that's going to give Excadrill basically 2 kills for Excadrill. We're going to get a kill for Vaporeon, and 2 kills for Heracross. Oh, 3 Heracross kills actually. So Heracross could have had 5 kills, but that's gonna be the game. So big props again to my opponent, CuddleOfDeath, of course, Kristen. Phenomenal battler, great person. She's just such a lovable person for real. So please go check out her channel if you haven't done so yet. Thank you so much for the match, of course, CuddleOfDeath, if you're watching this after the fact. And I hope you guys did enjoy. Definitely a good match. It was nice to kind of get back on a winning record here. So now we're 2-1, and hopefully gonna continue to move forward here. Really happy about bringing that Scarf Heracross, man. That might have saved me the game in the prep there. But great job on her part again. I was very impressed with the Mr. Mime, and that Thundurus was scary. It wasn't the Thundurus I expected. Actually, it made a lot of sense there. Nasty Plot, and then you click Psychic, Oko's Venusaur after Nasty Plot. I mean, if I didn't have Ditto, that thing could have been very, very scary. In fact, if I didn't have Ditto and I didn't click Thunderbolt there against that Thundurus, I probably would have just been swept there, because it did have the Charty Berry for my Heracross's Stone Edge if I would have connected. So whew, that was scary. But that's gonna be the game, guys. Hope you enjoyed. My name is Dan, also by aDrive, and I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.